The first reading is very dense in spirituality. It is, as it happens, something which has loud echoes for us who are formed in the monastic life, for these are the words that come at the beginning of the rule of St. Benedict. St. Benedict quotes these words: "He who would love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that they speak no deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek after peace and pursue it." Often then these words, key words, and words of that nature are dotted around the monastery, chiselled in the stone, and one cannot forget certain truths. The whole of the monastic ethos is a structure that allows this to happen, a structure that keeps out unpeace and keeps in peace. Even if you go to Monte Cassino now, the first thing that will hit you will be the big letters Pax, big letters written as one is coming near the monastery, perched as it is on that crucial spot. This week, a number of thoughts, as it happens, have been coming to me on this issue of protecting peace, and also what our existence is about. In fact, this very morning in Lectio Divina, a verse jumped out of the Hebrew, and it was this: "In the hours of night, I was wanting a word, and it was, they did not appreciate a desirable land." We do not appreciate the sanctity of a place where we meet heaven. We are too outside our inner sanctuary to know what matters. Analyze your day. Where is your time going? There is an order in creation, and the monastic life seeks to establish that by obliging time to flow on certain lines, a railroad unto eternity. Outside, you have to do it yourself. There has to be order. If a proportion of your time is out of order, ask yourself, what use am I making of my gift of life? There are simple ways of checking. How much time am I spending before a screen? First of all, am I, before I sit before a screen, aware of what is in that screen and the effect of my being exposed to it will have on my immortal soul? Secondly, am I in control of that screen, able to say, I will watch only this, and then I will go away? Or am I passively exposed to what is always interesting and more interesting than the last? Now, this is not indifferent, because holy souls are spending many hours of their existence, and I mean many hours, wasting precious time. And not only that, but they are then unable to calm down and appreciate the beauty of the invisible, because their senses have been so hyped up by the powerful that they can no longer taste mentally and spiritually the simple. How many can sit down and taste the beauty of a book now? Reading, letter writing are dying arts. We are being psychologically changed, and I would say weakened and damaged as a human race in the Western Hemisphere. As it happens this week, a friend of mine obliged me to have a complete rest for a week in complete solitude, and there one tastes the power of silence. No one knows where you are, and you listen and you love. And when I came back to the Hermitage on Friday, I realized again the beauty of what is there. That can happen actually, and it might happen to you if you're going away on holiday. You might come back and realize the beauty of what you take for granted. But there's a beauty accessible to every single one here in two things. Intimacy every day with the Lord before the Blessed Sacrament, if you have access to it. That is what gives value to all other moments, because then he has access to your will. The other is in your house, a place where you have met God before and where you can meet him again. Physically, to have one corner where God reigns is not indifferent. John Paul II was calling on us to have a domestic church. Now, all here are families of prayer. You can do that to some extent. Depends on whatever is going on around you, but you can do it to some extent if you want to. You can carve out moments when the family is praying. That enthrones God in time and space. Signs matter. I picked up again something which I had written just after being put in the Hermitage in 2000 and, I've lost count. 2007 it must have been. And there, having eventually had the Blessed Sacrament in the cell, in the chapel I mean, it was heaven on earth without all the clutter of a huge machine. I remember the Abbot of Roscrea commenting on the way in which some French monasteries run, like a huge machine eating itself up. And that would be your case as well, a huge machine eating itself up. The simplicity of only the eyeball to eyeball and the real presence and all the time in the world to love and adore was so different from all the weight of so many things to do. Now, transpose that to your existence. Ask yourself, am I doing too much? It's a big question, because sometimes if one loves and gazes, our life is of a different order. I remember one time when I was young, we were students at Aberystwyth, and they took us to the monastery in Wales, the only real one that's there. It's called the Island, on an island in the south, for our student retreat of the year. And I remember it hit me strongly, crossing all this water. There were no motor cars or not really anything automated on the island, just the sound of the ripples of the sea. And that goes back to Celtic times. And then we were sleeping at night, and I heard the bell at 3:15 in the morning, or whenever it was, for vigils. And I remember thinking to myself, this is time reclaimed, space reclaimed. And I asked if I could spend a while in that monastery over the Easter holidays, and I did. And then I noticed things which hit you for the first time. There was lots of work there, but it was unhurried. That too is something you can master. Sanctify even your work. because that is redemptive if it's done in union with Him. Don't just function, elevate, offer, even homework. But then I noticed other things too. And I just leave you with this, because it's kind of important stuff. If we're so keen on getting something to work and it doesn't work, what happens? You start to react against it. And that's happening a lot in the sphere of computers, because things go really wrong and make you really frustrated. And out of that come reactions which are not exactly glorious. Now, I remember in the monastery, it was still in the 70s, it was 1974 this, in Wales. It was before the computer age, really. And things were very simple, but yet things would go wrong. In working, I would notice the odd thing would break and not work properly. And I remember one time, the novitiate was there just doing some operation with the novice master. And we were pushing and pulling at this glass house on wheels. And the novice master was there, and he was saying, "Heave! Heave!" And so we would heave, you see, and we would pull as far as we can, and then eventually we started moving on these wheels, you see. Heave! We pulled even more, you see, eventually glass breaking. Now, in the world, what would have happened at that point? A rich vocabulary, I would say, of epithets never heard before. And I just remember how the novice master reacted. "Oh, bother." Remember that. You don't have to swear and call down all curses every time something goes wrong. Just remember why you're doing it. And if you're doing it for Him, anything will go, as long as you're in His presence, and enjoying also the problem of things going terribly wrong.
Thebaid revisited. O sound of peace beneath the patting rain that centuries have known. O land where all stands strangely still. I hear again what never has gone by. The ages call, e'en from the stones before me, where the choir its voice here no more finds. This little place is where I shall thee find. And Patrick's fire, to Keenan handed on, did this spot trace. My Lord, here present mid an angel throng, I shall here cease to do what can yet wait another busy man. For time, for song, unhurried and unjarred, shields hind this gate that separates a little land, wherein a moment caught had time to stand.